Arganissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.arganissima.com. Arganissima, New York. Your beauty is...
Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, the Glamour channel, iHealth Radio with your host, Hurricane Age. A new day, new show. A scheduled comeback guest with us today. So not a new guest. Actually, last week we had the pleasure of having Maxim with us, and we talked about the dress code concept and how to really dress the right way and be good, feel good in your skin. And today we're going to be talking about something a little bit more than just the dress code, because again, as Maxime would say, that's just a patch, it's just a band-aid. We need the real thing. And today we're going to talk about what that real thing is. So Maxime, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing incredible. Thank you for having me back. And it's a pleasure to be on here again.
Pleasure is ours. And you know what? There's never a time where we don't need advice and we can't use advice and we cannot share resources. So, hey, listen, some people may think this is an obvious thing, grooming and dressing and getting, looking good and all that. But we all make mistakes and we all have our own definition of how it's done. But you do this as a style, coach or a style consultant. So this is going to help us a little bit, at least audiences, get a different angle. Even if we are experts, doesn't matter. It's always good to hear from others, even those that are like high end in terms of dress code and fashion. They still observe and watch and follow all the trends to learn and always be up to date. So you're going to help us do that today. And hopefully people also can reach out to you and, deal with you directly and see if they have any questions. You can assist them. And that's where we are. So what we got today? What are we talking about, Maxime?
Well, let's face it. You can have the most expensive suit on for like $5,000. It's Italian. It's custom made. It looks extremely sharp. You feel like $1,000,000 in it. But if you have body odor leaking out from the suit, your confidence is going to be gone. Let's face it. So, clothes make a big difference in our confidence on how we feel every day. But if you have unkept facial hair, like you have oily hair, and you have body odor, like I said, leaking out from that $4,000, $5,000 Italian custom-made suit, boom, there goes your appearance, your style, everything. So it's not just, like close to the Band-Aid. It's lightly put. Obviously, there's much more to it than that, but it does make a huge difference in your confidence. But it all comes down to how we feel in our own skin.
Well, listen, I think everyone would agree to that, right? No one. The last thing you want is to walk somewhere and people kind of like distance themselves from you, and just like all of a sudden you're like in the middle, everybody's walking away from you. It's like you're making waves. That's kind of like a bad place to be. And I think we all are humans, are sensitive to those things, right? And even ourselves, we always kind of self-conscious about our orders and things. And but that may be true, maybe not. Some people may be earthbound or naturalists, and they might not maybe use some of the the chemical stuff, chemical induced deodorants or products that are of pharmacies and some of these beauty places, right? And
yeah.
What would you say to that? Like the types of folks out there that may not agree to put in, for example, deodorant and using those things, those tools, I would say.
Well, the great news is, like to smell good, to look good, you don't have to use a high end, like moisturizers, high end body washes, perfumes, colognes. You don't have to go that far. You can pretty much go to any drugstore and you can find all natural, like body soaps that might not have scent to them, but they're going to get the job done. So you don't have the body odors again. So use one of those. I get it. I have friends who get freaked out. They won't put anything. And I have a friend particularly who says, if I won't put it in my mouth, I'm not gonna put it on my body.
Mm.
And I get where he's coming from because our skin absorbs all the chemicals. I mean, I'm not a freak about it. I like perfumes. I like colognes. I have a whole solid grooming routine where I use a face moisturizer, I use a face wash, I use an eye cream, and I use a mask at least once every week or two. But I mean, like I said, if you do not want to use a lot of chemicals in your products, you can pretty much go to your drugstore, even Target, Walmart, and they're going to have a lot of options that are all natural. Meaning you can have very few ingredients and 3 or 4 ingredients. And really, like to stay fresh, to stay clean, that's all you need. You don't need an entire laundry list of all the chemicals to get yourself, like smelling good and feeling clean.
Well, thank you, Maxim. First of all, I just want to just disclose that I didn't mean anything by the idea of when I said naturalist. I mean, that's a pretty good thing to do. And some people actually just want to be very natural, and they do use like organic or pure natural products that are even sometimes homemade stuff, right? But you're right. There's because even the scented unscented products that are out there, they still, as you said, they still have chemicals. They may not have a smell to them, or any type of perfume attached to them, but at the end of the day, there's still kind of things that people may not want to have on their body. But you can use substitutes, and there's a lot of stuff. Even like you mentioned Walmart, maybe like Target, but like the Whole Foods, they have sections for those things in natural
Absolutely.
soaps. Yeah, the Wegmans, and a lot of other supermarkets, and even the large surfaces, maybe Costco's and stuff, may have some of those. Or there's a lot of boutique things, online that you can get natural products from. But before we get into that, again, we're just going general right now. But you said it. You don't have to have all that to be good, to feel good. First of all, a nice shower will do.
Nice shower.
A frequent shower will do. I mean, maybe grooming and I don't know, taking some of the being close to hygiene. That's an important piece, right? And that would probably take a little bit more of the brunt on it, right? So, what would we say to that? I mean, that's a simple task, right? God bless.
And speaking of, thank you so much. So speaking of, showers, I want to bring this up on the cover because this is important, especially for us who live in a colder climate, being winter right now, and we just came up in spring. But people tend to take really hot, long showers, like steamy hot, which feel incredible. Oh my God! Especially at the end of the long, stressful day. Very few things feel better than a hot shower. But the problem with hot shower is, because there's no humidity in the air, especially in the Northwest where we are, there's no humidity in the air, so therefore our skin becomes dry and cracky. So by adding hot shower into the cocktail, into that shake, you dry out skin. So I mean, it might be a bit hard, might be a challenge for some of you, but try to cut back on the length of the showers and cool them down a bit, because naturally, because of cold climate and cold air, no humidity, our skin's going to become dry, red, crackly. And like I said, spending 20 minutes in a hot shower is not going to help the situation. So, and if you do, make sure you apply some body lotion, some moisturizer after you get out.
I mean,
But go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. Well, I mean that's excellent advice for just for the looks, right? I mean, if your skin and your face is kind of like nice, and sometimes you get that white kind of cover on it, and it's like really, really, it looks like almost like not really appealing, and that may be a little bit of a deterrent or something that doesn't look good, and people can observe that. And at best, people are going to be just looking at you, and you'll be like, what's going on there? You don't have, to your point, you can get a moisturizer or an oil or something to actually, cover that and get that skin a little clearer. But again, that we're talking about the type of shower that may make a difference, and instead of long showers. But some people can say, well, I love to actually be in my shower and do it. But the idea is, we were talking about odors and body odor specifically. If you take a nice one, and you can use soaps that are natural and things like that, and again, the frequency can make a difference, because some people also may not be like frequently showering, or they don't want to be underwater, because there are schools of thought that may say, well, you don't want to be showering every 2 hours or every day or half a day, whatever. Sometimes some people may have. We have this about hair. Like some people say, don't wash your hair every day. you know, I've seen those articles about that where it's not really the right thing to do, because your hair gets a little frail and stuff. It's not going to be healthier if you keep always washing it. So what do you say to those things?
Well, first of all, you should never wash your hair every day because your hair is going to become dry. You're going to strip your scalp of essential oils. So one of the worst things you can do is wash your hair. Now, for example, let's say like if you work outside, it's a hot summer day, you're drenching in sweat. Or for example, I went to a sauna today at the gym after my workout. I was all sweaty. I sat there for 20 minutes. I mean, I was soaking wet in my sweat. So of course I'm going to wash my hair afterwards. But if you live like a normal sanitary lifestyle, to where like you don't necessarily work out every day, you don't work in a hot environment, you don't sweat nonstop profusely, you should wash your hair every other day or even every 2 days max. And like when you're recently in the past couple of years, I've started using a hair conditioner, which helps soften your hair, it's good for your scalp. So make sure you also add a conditioner. I would not recommend. I know there's a lot of 2-in-1 shampoos and conditioner. I would steer clear of those because you cannot just like mix and get the same results. So yeah, but as far as washing your hair, you're absolutely right. You should never wash your hair, like I said, unless, let's say, for example, like you were doing bench press and people were like on before you and like all sweaty, then it's kind of disgusting having your head on there. Then yes, you should probably wash your hair. If you're sweating profusely, then yes, you should. But for like an average person, they should wash their hair every other day, perhaps every 2 days.
All right. Well, again, but this is important because some people say like, well, I mean, that's a matter of, again, when we do these shows, people always going to have an opinion one way or the other. So you're going to have a little bit of this side, a little bit of that side. And I always try to clear this with people to understand that what we talk about is suggestion, is what, commonly, used concepts, and, everybody's going to have to proceed with caution, whatever, their preference may be. But again, the idea is to share ideas and or tips. And whatever it is that you see, fit, you can apply. And so, yes, we're talking about, the frequency of showering, for example, but definitely if you're going out, you do want to shower. I mean, that is best. Or you can even take, sponge baths. I mean, at the best, if you don't want to get into a full thing, I mean, there are different ways you can do this correctly.
And it's crazy. So nowadays, it's like you're working out at the gym. You can't go straight home, take a shower. You can actually get a body wipes right now.
Yeah.
Some of them have a lot of scent to them, but some are more natural. So you can go as far as like wiping yourself down, which is crazy. I've seen it like 5-6 years ago, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, you're telling me I can actually take a shower without taking a shower? So let's say you just had a good workout, you had some, you have some sweat in your body, obviously, and you can actually take one of those body wipes, wipe yourself down, and you're pretty much fresh.
There you go.
I probably wouldn't go to bed like that. But still take a shower, but I mean, on the go, it's super convenient. And I mean, like all of the grooming products, all the body washes, all shampoos, conditioners, a lot of them are going to be more natural in a couple ingredients, and that's all really you need. And recently I've been switching over more to like natural side of things because I started paying attention after my friend kind of brought my attention to it. And do you realize how many chemicals in some of the products you use? I'm like, yes, so? Wow. My friend goes to me, well, your skin is absorbing all of those chemicals. So yeah, just because you might not feel comfortable, safe using those products, you can always find more natural options, whether it comes to like a face wash, whether it comes to, I think even like a perfume. Some of the perfumes are even more natural, but yeah, for the basics, for the essentials, talking about shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and the face wash, you can get those in all natural forms.
Well, again, like you said it, loudly. I mean, there's so many options out there. There are so many, and it gets to almost to meet everybody's demand, right? Everybody's taste. You have the natural, you have the organic, you have the vegetarian stuff, you have the non-scented, you have the scented, you have the body sprays. You said it. You have the wipes. The key here is to always, be mindful of your odors and things, and make sure that you're fresh and you smell good. And again, occasion is also going to dictate that, right? I mean, you're certainly going to the gym. You don't want to put a a ton of perfume going to the gym. It's gonna be crazy there. But I can just imagine you throw in a nice little expensive perfume and go work out, sweat, and that scent is actually all over the place. It's actually sometimes overwhelming, right? But certainly if you go in, and we'll talk about those levels, because some people go overboard with perfumes and some would be the opposite. So in your I guess expertise and experience, opinion, what would be those balances? What would be your advice in terms of perfume selection, perfume quantity, more or less, when the type of maybe meeting that you have, can determine what. I mean, certainly you don't want to go to an interview or a meeting in an enclosed conference where you're like over perfumed, and that's just another, which
Over
can be very powerful.
overpowering for sure. I mean, there's a guy who I used to work with. It's crazy. Also like he would walk by you. He's out of the room, and like a pretty big room at that. You can still smell him. And we can really dive deep into this for colognes. A lot of guys like to over apply because I think if I only spray a couple sprays, it's gonna disappear. I mean, first of all, there's different kind of perfumes. There's like toilet water, which is like the basic one. Doesn't have That's gonna last about 2 to 3 hours. Toilet water. Then you can go for a perfume HC. That's gonna be more heavier, more oil based. I'm gonna say heavier, not in a bad way. It's more oil based. The only thing it means, it's not gonna be stronger, but it's gonna last longer. So it's gonna last longer. So it's about 4 to 6 hours, maybe 8 hours at times. A lot of guys, when they apply fragrance, they put all over their bodies. They're gonna spray to each side of the neck, front of their necks, on their chest, on each arm, their leg, on their clothes. On their clothes too. First of all, you should never, no exception, never apply a fragrance cologne on your clothes because there's some oil in there. It's gonna stain your clothes. So potentially you can end up left the stain. So don't do it. And second of all, when you do buy cologne, pretty much any department store you go and you play the sales fragrance, the salesperson will spray it on the card. It always happens. No matter what store I go to buy the fragrance, it always happens. At first they offer it to me on the card. And I'm like, thank you, but I would like to try it on my skin. The reason being is everybody has different chemistry. So what might smell great, incredible on one person is going to smell like shit on another person, literally. I'll give you an example. In my early 20s, I worked with a guy who had this really nice cologne. It's like Burberry or something, pretty fancy cologne. And I'm like, dude, that smells incredible. I was like, what is it? So he told me. I got it for myself, didn't even test it. It didn't mix with my chemistry. And again, like I said, everybody has different chemistry. So what's going to smell incredible on one person is not might not smell good on you. So just because you smell something good, don't automatically go online and buy it. Make sure you test it yourself because it might not work for your chemistry. It might not. So you're going to be taking this risk. But everybody has different chemistry, so don't apply. But going back to applying the fragrance, you need free spray max. So you apply each side of your neck, left, right. Then you apply a spray to one of your wrists, either left or your right. Now, people have a tendency, like, for example, they'll apply a cologne, perfume, on one of the wrists and they start like rubbing, like rubbing their skin together. Avoid doing that at all costs because you're going to destroy the perfume particles. Never rub. So, for example, I know also people, guys, especially girls do this as well. They'll apply a cologne on the wrist, perfume on the wrist, and they start rubbing on their neck. When there's friction, you're going to be destroying the perfume cologne particles. It's going to lessen the effect, so never. So like I said, each side of your neck and one of your wrists. That's all you need. That's all you need. When you go more than that, that's when it becomes overpowering, kind of insulting. And I know people who have allergies to perfume. So around them, I know if I'm going to be spending a day with them, some of my friends, I cannot be wearing a fragrance because it's going to irritate them. So, but it's more so if you like over applied.
No, well, thank you for that, because I was going to ask about that. The idea of, because some perfumes can be very they don't have to be expensive, but they can be very potent and in their smell, and some people can have serious allergies depending on what that smell is. And I actually I suffer from allergies myself. seasonal ones, but like in the fall, forget about it. I'm sensitive to anything, right? And some people actually, they wear something, and as soon as they walk by you, you start sneezing. Poof! I mean, it's crazy. And when you start sneezing, it's just not once. I mean, it goes like on and on and on. It's very bad. But that's you have to be sensitive also to where you are, and again, enclosed space is different than outdoors, for example, right? I mean, interviews. I know last time we talked about interviews or dates and all that, but I mean, interviews can be usually in a small space, and you're kind of close enough to whoever the interviewer is, and you don't want to overwhelm them, and again, some people can also be turned off with smell. Some smell they just like. Again, I'll give a good example. My mom is very sensitive to certain perfumes, and if it's a certain type of perfumes, she doesn't even allow them around her. So, like, even when we purchase stuff and we go to get, see mama, yeah, it's a problem. We have to make sure that we have the soft ones, not the heavy ones. So,
Yeah, especially going on a job interview, be a little bit more conservative. Do not apply the cologne. Because, I mean, if you don't wear a cologne, you're fine either way, right? When you do apply cologne and the person doesn't like it, they're going to associate, like, for example, now imagine going in this job interview. It's the most important job interview of your life. So you want to smell good, you want to look good. By the way, do dress up. But you're like, I'm also going to apply some cologne so I smell nice. I love this fragrance. Every girl who I've been on a date with like this fragrance. So I'm going to wear it. Like everybody compliments me on it. Now you walk into this super important job interview, job of your dreams, and this person is allergic to it. You might lose the opportunity right there. So again, nobody's going to be offended if you don't wear a perfume. Now, obviously, if you're going on an evening date with a girl, I always wear perfume. Yeah, perfume cologne. I also want to smell nice. But job interview, even some of my client meetings, I try to steer clear. And again, if you are going to be wearing a cologne perfume, make sure it's nothing too personalized, like nothing too like where it's like, make sure like everybody likes it, something fresh, something clean, nothing too strong, nothing too masculine, something in between. But again, like I said, if you're going to be going on an important client meeting, important job interview, nobody's going to be offended in that situation if you don't wear it. But again, you might lose an opportunity of a lifetime or a huge opportunity just because the person might be allergic.
Well, I bet it would be just a distraction, because if someone is really not comfortable and they have to sit with you for 45 minutes, half hour, and now they have to reduce it to 10 minutes because they want to get out of the room. so you'll just rush up the job, and then you're probably not going to have the better odds, to get the job. So you have to be careful. And you're right. So those are things that we look for. I look for, in interviews is the look, the overall look, the pitch, the personality, all those things. Now, you don't judge on all of it, but you certainly use all of those as characteristics and personality, traits that you can evaluate on, and that's important. But at the end of the day, in jobs, for example, you're looking for the talent, right? The experience, the expertise, the knowledge, the know-how, and all that stuff. But at the same time, there are certain things, especially if it's a job that has to deal with people, facing people. You factor those things in, and that's important. Now, you mentioned something about dating and going out with friends, whatever. That's obviously you want to smell good, but those are extremes levels, right? Some people smelling good may be a touch of perfume. You said it, one puff here, one puff there, and then maybe another one, and that's it. Some people go like all over, like a nice little shower going on.
Yeah, and I want to suggest it to guys. For example, if you're going out on a date with a girl you really like, you want her to be as close as possible to you. If you're smelling incredible, but it's like a tiny scent of it, she's going to want to get closer to you if she likes it. But now if you spray this lower, she might back away, be like, holy crap, I like this guy, I like the scent, but that's like way too overpowering. But when you have like a spray or two, just subtle, then she's going to be more likely to get to you. So, I mean, speaking specifically to guys at this moment, but it's true. But like I say, if you spray, it's like a lot of guys go on a date and they'll spray all over themselves, thinking, well, there can be too much of a good thing. Well, in this instance, for them, sure it can be.
Well, listen, I mean, perfume is a big deal. I mean, we certainly are exposed to these things. And again, so the scent of the person in general, just the natural scent, shower and all that, clean, fresh, you can tell. I mean, it's a nice, fresh, smell when someone comes out, nicely, just took a bath, whatever, or shower, and you nicely, set. that's a good thing. And then you add a little bit of a touch, and then now it's even better. And just the way you dress and all that makes a big difference on your look and your personality. But now I wanted to touch on a couple of things. One is you talked about, the bodies are different, the metabolism is different, everybody's, chemistry is different, right? I think I
Everybody has
think
different chemistry.
exactly, and well, that's on just one aspect. But then, for example, food also can make a difference in how you smell. I mean, sometimes you eat certain foods that might have an impact on your body's odor, and like for example, you have an extra curry, meal, and that could be actually, affecting the smell. So, and sometimes you may not. That's the other thing. We get used to our smell. For the most part, you don't smell yourself after a while, but people around you will. So you have to be also conscious about that. So what do you say to that? I mean, because I'm not even sure if people are aware that some foods can actually impact, your odor, and that's a big deal.
It's been scientifically proven in people who are healthier, who have clean diet, who don't consume a lot of toxic food, who don't consume a lot of alcohol, are but have overall like more like organic, clean diet. Their sweat is going to be much more pleasant than somebody who drinks all the time, who smokes, who consumes a lot of toxic junk food. Their body was going to be much more offensive than somebody who has clean, healthy lifestyle, clean diet. Because it seems like you consume like a lot of fast food, you consume and you can smell, like somebody who drinks a lot, they start sweating, you can almost smell it. But somebody who doesn't drink, somebody who takes care of themselves, has like organic, clean diet, their body odor might not even be offensive. But somebody who smokes, like I said, more than likely their body odor is going to be offensive. So that's been scientifically proven. You can smell somebody like who is like, doesn't take care of themselves, their body odor, and not always, but most of the time, majority of the time, they're going to be more likely to smell terrible when they sweat, their breath,
Well,
their
actually,
sweat, their body odor.
they don't even have to sweat. I mean, for example, when you smoke, right?
Oh, yeah.
Smoking can be pleasant in a way, but very unpleasant if it's too much of it because it sticks to your clothes and your stuff. So that's one. You mentioned alcohol. I mean, that's big. If you really, had a nice night and you overdid it the morning of, something's gonna come out of your body, and that's gonna be in the form of, even if you shower and do stuff, there's a good chance that as soon as you start getting heat up, things are gonna be actually not very pleasant. So again, just being mindful, being aware, I think that's a very key component, and understanding if you have something important to do the next day, to just refrain from certain activities just to make sure you get the best of your opportunities. I think that's a big deal. Maxime, I wanted to ask you something about now. We talked about grooming, in light and in terms of smell and odor and stuff. But what about now, body like hair? People shave or not shave. I mean, it's a matter of looks and matter of style. So, what do we say to that?
I mean, look, if you can pull a beard off with confidence, do it, but make sure it's never acceptable for it to be unkept. A lot of guys have like long beards, it's patchy, it's like all over the place. That almost never looks good. So if you can rock a beard, I mean, by all means, go all out, rock a beard, but make sure it's well kept. Make sure it's not like all over the place. Make sure it's not short in one area, long in another one. Make sure it's well kept. Some guys, I mean, for the longest time, I was clean shaving, dude. Almost shave every other day. I mean, if I would shave every day at some point, but then my face would get all irritated. But my facial hair doesn't grow that long, so therefore I would shave every other day. But when you recently, I've got a beard trimmer, and now I have like a stubble going on. Now I prefer that. So you can have a stubble on, but it all comes down to being well kept. What looks even more terrible is like when I was younger, I had patchy beard, and I wouldn't really shave that much when, like, in my teenage years, and it looked terrible. And you see a lot of guys who are adults who can't grow a beard, but they have this like patch, like on their cheeks, and they don't shave it. I mean, again, that does not look good. So whether you have a full grown beard that's unkept, doesn't look good, or you have patchy, hair growing your face, it doesn't look good. So whether you're going to be clean shaven or you're going to trim a beard, make sure you'll, like, upkeep it to look your best. But I wouldn't say like one's better than another. Like whether you have a beard going on or you clean shaven, I wouldn't say one's better than another. I mean, of course, with some facial structure, some face types, beard might fit better. I know, for example, I look much younger when I am clean shaven than when I have a bit of a beard going on. But yeah, whatever you do, make sure you either clean shave, shave it clean, or you upkeep it at least every 3 to 4 days. You trim it.
Well, it's funny, Maxim. I was laughing because I am one of those guys with those patches. So if I grow, a beard, it doesn't work. I'll have just a nice
Yep.
little patches. So I never grow one. I can't. I mean, literally, I can't. I just have few hairs here and there. I'm not hairy at all, so it's a problem. And I've learned that lesson a long time. So one time I tried to grow it, and it didn't look bad at all. I mean, it didn't look good at all. It was just bad.
I mean, the most important thing is you shave it. I mean, you have a clean shave, which works for you. But I know guys who walk around and they have, little patches sticking out, and I'm like, come on, man, just shave it off. It doesn't look good.
Well, so let's talk about the Maxim. I mean, I know now we're talking potentially opinion. I mean, I know that's the ideal, but for somebody,
Ideal, yeah.
yeah, for somebody then may like, well, that's my look. That's how I want to look. And even for others, where we talked about orders, we talked about all these things. And as we're talking about them, someone could say, well, that's your opinion, guys. I like the way I look. I like the way I smell. I don't care what people think of me. Now, I wanted to address this because, again, I try to always balance out both sides of the story here. And yes, it is always the prerogative of any individual to do whatever they want in their body and their shape. And if, yes, they don't care about what people think, and you shouldn't technically care about anything to a degree, but you should care about how people perceive you if you're going to interact with people. But then again, that's a matter of opinion. Whatever happens to you, that's on you. I mean, at the end of the day, the outcome is going to be clear and obvious because you may or may not get the results you expect, right? But we just wanted to clarify that to people, that we're not saying that this is what your standards are. These are some of the overwhelming rules of how to operate, but you can live in any extreme of those ends, and it's okay. You can be super, cologned and perfumed and groomed, and then you can be very least, of all the above, and that's okay too. The idea is that find the middle ground, find a way to be good, and understand your body, understand your chemistry, understand your environment, and that can make a difference. So again, our opinion here is more about sharing tips and opportunities, and you get to pick, but to each his own, as we say. But sometimes people get, the reason, Maxim, I'm saying this, because some people get very sensitive. Who are you to tell me how I look or how I don't look? I mean, obviously we're not telling anybody specifically. If you listen to the show and you want to pick something from it, please do. If you feel it's not, that's okay.
And that is, like if you have a guy, like who would have more like in the country, he's used to rocking a beard, he doesn't like shaving. He doesn't smell, but at the same time, he never wore cologne. I mean, like, you obviously don't want to tell this guy to go shave off his beard and put this expensive French perfume on. No, you have to do what resonates with you and what's comfortable for you. Because I mean, if I would go take like a guy, like I'm a image consultant, I'm a style consultant, I help guys dress up, like more into like like a city type. But I cannot take a guy who grew up in the country, who never wore a suit in his life, who never dressed up in his life, who never smelled a cologne. I cannot take this guy and put him in a button-up shirt, nice blazer, sports jacket, and put cologne, because it's going to be out of his comfort zone. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to do what resonates with us, what's comfortable. But I mean, I think we would all agree, when we meet somebody who has terrible body odor, none of us are like, yes, this smells so good. Yeah.
But you're, Maxim, I like what you said there, because at the end, you're right. Everybody's got a comfort zone, but I think everybody can agree to the odor part, right? And we always are sensitive to that. But here's a touchy thing, right? My smell, to me, sounds like terrific, but maybe someone else next to me would not be very pleased, right? And that's usually the problem. Like, we are not aware that we are smelling bad, because our chemistry, our body is conditioned to smell good, whatever that you have, but not really necessarily. I mean, it gives you signals. You might know that it's not, but maybe too late at that point. Or maybe you smelling at level 1 and it's really level 10, and everybody around you is like, oh my goodness, right? So that's the thing. Being aware, I think, is key. That's the main thing. And maybe check with somebody, before, like, hey, how do I smell? Is it good? Do I look good? Whatever. Get a little bit of a feedback. That helps, right?
Yeah, and think like you're right. We do get used to it. I mean, for example, now, I mean, I'm sure like you take a shower on a daily basis. I take 1 or 2 showers per day. I'll say like I had a long day. I've been sweaty. I mean, I can smell it. But the reason, we can smell it because we're used to smelling clean. But that's like, like we feel like used to a certain diet and you get used to body odor, we cannot smell it, but others can smell it around us for sure.
And again, at the end of the day, I mean, unless you don't live with a group of people in society, I mean, the idea of this is to give people an opportunity to understand the differences and opportunities and how to really address things. Now that takes me to the next level. I know we talked about the grooming and the beard part, but now in styling, do you recommend any particular look in terms of hair, shape, hair cuts, and things like that? Because again, that's a matter of style and look. Everybody has their own, I guess, way of looking, good. Long hair, short hair, buzzed hair, whatever. But is there anything in your styling, mode, and as you consult with people, is that something that you also address, currently based on whatever the opportunity or the needs are?
Well, I mean, for example, I can take a look at a guy and tell whether he has good haircut or not, but I usually don't mess with that. So part of my fee, my daily fee, is a barber fee. So I take them to my barber. I have a couple barbers. So I take them to my barber and I'm like, hey, I was like, what do you think would be the best course? And I let the barber, if a client flies me out, I travel to a client who is not in my area, then before I go, I find one of the best, hair salons or one of the best barber shops, and I take them in there. And I'm like, hey, like what hairstyle do you think would work best for this person? And I've kind of let them debate it because I can kind of take a look, but I'm not a professional hairstylist, not professional barber. So therefore, while I can make a pretty good decision, at the end of the day, the best decision can be made by my client and the barber or the hairstylist.
But do you give any specific advice to, like, for example, someone is going on an interview versus someone's going on a date? I mean, is there a particular look that if they need to have a haircut, what would you potentially recommend?
Well, normally I prefer, like to have your sides, like so you had a little bit shorter and leave some length on top. That's what I recommend for being getting for years now. So for example, like I'll say if you want some pretty good but basic haircut, say you want one or two on the sides and say you want three up top, and try to not use clippers. Tell your barber like you're like when I go to like a hair salon and I see the barber or the hairstylist only using clippers, might not be the most experienced barber or hairstylist. I prefer to use scissors as well because you can get a little bit. But I would say go leave a little bit of length up top and trim it down on the sides. If you're going to be going on a job interview, even a date, you're going out on night on town, going to a party, some event, try to have a clean haircut. Don't have bad hair. Don't have your hair being all over the place. Get a fresh cut. Be it neat. One thing, like one make a peace of mind, like when people show up and they have, bad hair. And again, it's a matter of opinion, but I can't imagine anybody looking really good with bad hair when their hair's all over the place. It looks unkept. It's too long. Yeah, so it's something to just keep mindful of.
Well, I just wanted to add one thing to that because this takes me back 2 years, literally 30 years ago. And at my first job was Disney. I was actually an Epcot, and they had very strict actually rules when it comes to haircuts and grooming, and how long your hair can be, and mustache versus non-mustache. I mean, so for as an advice, if you go into an interview, you might want to look at the job descriptions and whether there's restrictions in terms of grooming, because some jobs do have specific requirements. And I think that's a big deal, just from a just to stand. I mean, if you go the wrong way, it's over. I think there was even a commercial about, was it a haircut or something? So if I'm not mistaken, there was a commercial there, so I loved it. I mean, when there was a bunch of interviewees or candidates sitting, and the guy comes in nice and fresh, bald, and literally, and everybody looked at him, but they didn't look at the actual company. Somehow that was the look, and so he actually won the interview because he actually fit the profile. So it was one of those. It was a nice little angle. I think it was a shaving company, like, or something. But it was just a nice little spin on it. But the idea is just understand your audience, as we say all the time. Understand your interview. Understand the dynamics where you're going, so you can get the maximum of any situation. If you also culturally, right? If you're going with a different culture, you're hanging out with a different crew from maybe a different just feel of things, you might want to understand how they operate correctly so you can fit in properly and have a nicer, time. I mean, dress code can make a difference even in cultures, right? Not everybody dresses the same way. And we talked the other day, I think, about how we do in the US versus in Europe, right? It's a big difference in the culture. Same thing, the hairdo, the looks, the smell, everything can make a difference from one place to the other. And, it's a very touchy situation sometimes. And so what do you say to that?
It can be, like I said, different cultures. That's why I don't usually work with clients from different countries. I had a client from Canada, but, if you go to Asia, you go to even some countries. Well, first of all, in Europe, they have pretty good style in Europe. Like most people dress really well, like whether it's like Germany, whether it's France, England. Europeans tend to have really good style, even like Eastern Europe. I mean, you come to America, you come to US, people are from all over the world. So you have some people dress really well. Some people go out in public, they go out to eat and they're wearing pajamas.
Oh yeah, no, that's a new trend.
Yeah. So yeah, people wear pajamas, so it's like, whereas again, some people, if somebody feels comfortable, who am I to tell them, oh, hey, take those pajamas off and put like something really nice on again. But, again, it's all comes down to culture, your background, your preferences.
Well, so we talk cultures a little bit, but now let's talk about, I guess age groups, because the younger generation now is a little different in the way they see and perceive dress code. I mean, it's just pretty obvious. I mean, not that they don't like to dress. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're very expensive. They love everything expensive and everything fashionable and stuff. But the way they do their get-ups are a little different, and because they have new trends. I mean, I remember I grew up in the '80s, and that's what my teenage days were, and that was a rough, season. That decade was very funny. I mean, it was everything, with bandanas and kind of torn shirts and different things and breakdance days, and so we had a whole different look, hip hop style, baby. So and every generation its own formula, right? And so today, I mean, these things are almost trendy, but some of the themes are the same for across all generations. But I think there's also generational stuff where you have to be unique about, right? So do you address that? I mean, I'm sure that you might have different clients that may have different, age or generational, views. So how do you deal with that?
Well, most of my clients who come to me, they either don't know how to dress at all and they want to improve their style. And on the other hand, a lot of clients who come to me, they resonate with my style. They look, they check out my Instagram, my Facebook page, and they were like, you dress really well. Like, do you mind giving me some pointers? I would like to work with you on this. So, but somebody who doesn't resonate with my style, the dress is completely different. They're not going to work with me to begin with. They're not going to come to me because they cannot imagine themselves dressing how I dress, or they cannot see themselves dressing, like very nice. And when I say nice, it's all subjective. It's all subjective. What I might consider nice is not going to be nice to somebody else, and vice versa. So it's, again, like it all comes down to opinion, your preferences, your taste. But like I said, most of my clients who come to me, they either know how to dress and they like how I dress and they want to work with me, or they might already have pretty good style, but they need a couple extra pointers to kind of, like the details.
Well, thank you for that, Maxim. But it's funny. I as you were talking about that, something just clicked in my mind, which is something we didn't cover last time, and maybe we have a minute to cover it now. But there's always a thing about color schemes. I mean, color combinations, color, coordination. That is a big deal because some people can throw in all kind of mix of colors and make it look good, and some people just can't. It's amazing how that works, right? You could put a combo of multiple colors, be a rainbow, and look great, and you can do the opposite or do the same thing and not look so great. So what is the good balance in terms of that? I know we talked about shoes and belts and matching things last time, but I'm talking about just the color selection. Yellow, green, red, brown, kind of like sometimes in, very bright colors or very dull colors. I mean, I give you one thing. I dress with the seasons. I'm literally
Yes.
like, I go when it's dark, I'm more grayish, black, blue, and when it's kind of like season green, springy, I'm always like colorful. So, or like tropical. So, but that's my preference. But everybody's got a different angle. So, what we say to that?
I mean, look, a little bit of color is fine. And again, like some people love color. I know some colorful people. They have very colorful personalities. They're very outgoing. They love color. So on the other hand, I'm much more conservative. I like gray. I like black. I like a bit of navy blue, a little bit darker, more mysterious colors. That's what I like. But I mean, at the same time, you don't want to really like stand out too much by wearing also like red pants and a pink shirt. That might be, especially for a guy, that might be. But again, some guys like it, and I'm not gonna tell them about like, hey, dude, don't wear, don't wear that. I'm not gonna tell them just because it's on my style, on my taste. It doesn't mean it doesn't work for them, and if they love it, and it kind of gives them a confidence boost, and it's something they feel more like themselves and go all out, knock yourself out. Like where, like I mean, like me on the other hand, and a lot of my clients, who I work with, they're more into like like a darker colors, maybe a little bit like like mustard yellow, darker blue, navy blue colors, black, gray, stuff like that. More mysterious. But again, if you have a colorful personality and you like a little bit of color, by all means, go for it. And it really does work for some people because it matches their personality. I like a bit of mysterious, like more darker, more like elegant colors.
Well, listen, I mean, but I like exactly what you said there because you're right. Everybody's persona is different, and the colors actually do express a little bit how you feel about things and how comfortable you're on your own skin, as we said. So it makes a difference. But you're right. I mean, but for job interviews, since we talked about job interviews, I think there is a certain expectation in the colors. I mean, to when to show up, there's certain things that make you even interviews. When you go, like even when you go to interviews, like I'm talking about media stuff. Uh, I'm not talking about our podcast version here, but like if you were to go to like a standard network, TV, and they invite you, I mean, it is, you see like all the politicians, they have a certain scheme of colors, certain scheme of ties,
Yeah.
so it's actually by design. It's not just, because they choose that. They actually given those like the bluish and the white, shirt and the red ties, and those have actually certain connotation and expectations, from the audiences. So it kind of changes a little bit the dynamics for people as where they go and how they go about it. So
Yeah, and it's very conservative. Like you don't, like you're never gonna see like a politician walk in a White House in a pink pair of pants. It's not gonna happen. So, but again, but now let's say like you feel like more of like an artist, you work in an artistic field. I mean, a black suit might not be the best option for you. For example, let's say like you take a leader of a bike gang. Probably not gonna see him in a pink polo. If you compare it like,
by the way,
like
I love pink, so I can tell you that much. I enjoy wearing pink.
I have a pink dress shirt, so it's I love working at. But I mean, it depends on your profession, what you do. Like I said, if you work in something like very creative, very artistic, you're probably gonna be more in the colorful side of things. But if you're like more in the politics, you might be like bike gang. Like pink or color might not be the best option for you. So therefore, if you work in a corporate office, you might be able to wear a gray suit with a nice pink dress shirt. Why not? So there's like like one extreme, there's another extreme, and there's somewhere in the middle. So one thing like where you're like never gonna wear color, it's like you wear gray, black. Then there's another side of things where you gonna be wearing only color because you might be like an artist and you like color. And then like you might be working in a corporate environment where you might wear like a tie, a pink tie or a pink shirt with a nice gray suit. Or what also looks really good is like I've seen somebody wear they were wearing a dark navy suit with a white dress shirt and a pink tie. That looked good, but it wasn't too much color. A little bit of personality, a little bit of color going in there, without overdoing it.
Again, I mean, listen, color. I mean, we have those crazy socks deals going on.
The pink socks.
Yeah,
That
I mean
pink sauce. Oh yeah.
that has been going as a trend recently, and people actually wear different socks that sometimes don't have anything to do with the suit setup, but it is again, there's trendy things that out there, and people test them, but again, it's a matter of opinion, matter of taste and choice, and everybody can make things, like I said, some people can make it look good, some people just don't, and so understanding your personality and where you are can help. Sometimes it's actually a good thing. You do something crazy, people start gravitating towards you, like they want to know, like, what the hell's going on here, let's talk about this dude here and see what's going on, or vice versa. It can be just like, oh no, I don't want to deal with this one. So it changes dynamics, so you just have to be aware and understand what your environment is and what works and what doesn't. I think all of us should be using this particular formula of adjusting accordingly. That's all.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, it all comes down to knowing your environment and knowing your preferences, knowing your taste. It comes down to that. Because, for example, like I'll say if you're like really artistic, but you go into some event where, let's say, like a pink suit is just not going to be appropriate, then no. So you got to know your A, environment, then B, you have to know yourself, your taste, your preferences. It all comes down to that.
So I'm gonna ask a question now. That's funny, but we're in the spring and soon it'll be summer. It's beach time. So let's talk.
Almost.
Almost. Well, beach time is always in the south, which is for the north is like almost. But yeah, the guys in Florida are having a good time already. So, but the so there's always a question, and I think there's especially for guys, it's a big deal, right? I mean, some people have, uh, you know, hairy armpits versus not so much. So anything, in terms of the grooming and the stylish, world, does that make a difference one way or the other, if people kind of keep their hair growing a little more than they should, or they should be in a level that is trimmed?
Oh, you know what I mean? Like my personal preference, I have body hair. I don't shave my body hair, but I trim it if I'm going to the beach. Now, some guys, and this is such a controversial subject, because some guys they could be hairy as a bear, like hair all over their neck, their back, their chest. They look like you can't even see their skin, and you could never convince them to even trim it, let alone shave it. So, I mean, that's such a hard topic to discuss because this is like truly comes down to preference and what you like. I mean, honestly, like in the winter time, I might not pay as much attention, but in summertime, I'm not gonna shave off my body hair, but I might, trim it down a bit so I don't have it all over the place. But I've seen, like, you go to the beach and you see some guys are like walking grizzly bears, literally, and they're confident, they're comfortable with it. And again, like some girls like it. It's like some girls like hairy guys, some girls like guys who are clean shaven. It all comes down to preferences. I mean, if you're like in a professional world, like you work in a corporate world, you might not want to have, like a lot of chest hair sticking out, from your, you probably don't want to have that coming. But I mean, good, if you work at like, like on a mine, then it might be okay. So that's like one of like ultimate comes down to preferences.
Well, no, yeah, I definitely, and I agree. I mean, for body hair, full body, I'm talking, like that's what you're referring to. That's obviously, I mean, some of it is natural. You can't do nothing. It's your DNA. Now, to your point, it's a choice to
Yeah.
either trim or not. And people like it. They're confident. That's how they are, and that's okay. And that's usually not the biggest problem in terms of odor and things. But I think armpits, that's where the issue comes in. If it's your hair puff is a little bigger than it should be, and you're sweating, that may not be as a
Yep.
good approach. So
Yeah, I mean, for sure, like in the summer, like I never shave my armpits, but in summertime, because my armpits do get pretty hairy, I trim them down because first of all, they deodorant to be more likely to observe, and it's gonna easier to apply the deodorant.
mhm.
Then when you have a huge like man bush, like down there, like like underneath your arms, you have like a forest growing. It's just gonna be like a bunch of goop, So that's true, it's a fact. So it's gonna be harder to apply the deodorant, and it's not gonna absorb as well. And plus, on top of that, you're gonna sweat more. The more hairy you have, the more you're gonna sweat. So for those two reasons, I like to trim my, yeah, again, not shave it all, but get some hair off so I don't sweat as much, and my deodorant applies easier.
So speaking of deodorant, do would you recommend spray, or do you recommend like solid?
So the deodorant,
Yeah.
I would say really depends. One thing I had there for sure, because it comes in both in the spray version and the salad, antiperspirants.
Mm.
Steer clear of antiperspirants unless you sweat heavy and you work outside and you gotta smell good. Most of the deodorants are gonna get the job done. But yeah, antiperspirants have been linked directly to cancer. There's I forget the name of this chemical now, but they have aluminum in there. It's not
Mm.
good. So try to. I'm not saying go and get the most natural deodorant because those are not usually very effective. They want an hour. But most, your like Old Spice deodorants, your Dove deodorants are going to be fairly effective to keep you fresh and clean all day long. I haven't used an antiperspirant in at least half a decade now. I used to do it in my early 20s before I knew better. But yeah, you have, guys who are using like 48-hour sports protection, like all of that. You don't need this for everyday life. You don't need it. And like I said, that's been linked directly to cancer. So anytime when you go for deodorant, make sure it doesn't say antiperspirant. Unless you're, like I have a friend, he sweats and he has to get, I think like a Botox or something it's called, to
Mm.
get, because no matter what kind of deodorant he uses, no matter what kind of antiperspirant he uses, it doesn't work for him. But if you are really heavy sweaters, then you might be okay with using antiperspirant, but for like an average guy with an average, like life circumstances, conditions where he's not outside when he's not sweating all day, the deodorant is going to get the job done because otherwise you're basically like going to be prone to cancer if you use antiperspirants.
Oh, thank you, Maxim. Well, again, yeah, I mean, it's the deodorant is more common, and antiperspirants are a little bit stronger. And again, we do want to make sure caution people all these products. That's why again we started the show today discussing the ability. Some people are more naturalistic and they don't want any chemical stuff. So again, there's plenty of option out there, and the cost is not that big in terms of choices. So you can still get something solid and probably more natural, organic, for just about the same or maybe a little extra, but if that's what your angle is, that's fine. And to your point, you don't have to have it 24/7. You can be natural, and when you're ready to actually meet the world, you can just put your deodorants, and that can help you for the hours that you're going to be interacting with people. So there's a lot of ways to balance. Again, it all comes down to selection, balance, and understanding the dynamics and operating accordingly. I think that works for everyone, and I hope that people can benefit from these discussions. And again, again, always one tip, two tips that you pick here and there, and at least opinions. Sometimes it's good to hear the other version or the other what people think overall, and then you can make up your own mind as to what works for you. I mean, that's how I
Yeah,
operate in general. So.
see what works for you. And again, you can always experiment. Let's say if you do sweat heavy, or even if you don't, and you apply a regular deodorant when you're used to using antiperspirant and regular deodorant doesn't cut it, you can always go back to your antiperspirant. You can always go back, but experiment. But yeah, I mean, like as far as like aluminum and other artificial chemicals that come in a antiperspirant, it's like no, it's not worth it. And there are times where I had breakouts. Honestly, I had like rashes after trying antiperspirants. So I have to be careful. I'm not like really like I don't really have a sensitive skin, but there are times where I had breakouts underneath my arms that were like sore, that were burning. So and then I finally just like switched over to deodorant, and I never really had a problem since I made the switch.
All right. All right. So Maxime, I think we're coming to the end of the show today. But so what final words or advice would you share with our audiences? And also, again, let's remind them, where they can reach out to you if they need your services or they need advice.
Yeah, one thing is important is also to have a skincare routine. Nothing too extravagant, but make sure you use a quality face wash twice a day. So say if you take a shower in the morning, you wash your face with a quality face wash in the morning. At night before you go to bed, wash off the dirt and grime from the day. So wash your face with a quality face wash in the evening. In the morning, you want to make sure, even if it's not sunny outside, you still want to apply a quality SPF moisturizer or moisturizer with SPF in it, or at least SPF 20, preferably 30 or higher, because nothing ages our skin, our face, than the sun does. Sun causes so much damage. So make sure you apply SPF 20, 30, 40 after you get our shower in the morning. The skin on our face that shows ages the fastest is the skin underneath our eyes right here. It shows. So therefore, you want to use a quality eye cream at least once a day, preferably twice. Yeah, so face wash. If you live in a cold climate like right now in the Northwest, you want to use moisturizer twice a day. So I would recommend using SPF moisturizers in the morning and then just normal moisturizer at night before going to bed, and of course night cream. And the quality, and they use a face scrub to get rid of dead skin cells at least once or twice a week. If you don't do that, you might get breakouts. You're gonna have buildup. So use a face scrub. You can get them anywhere at your local drugstore or department store. And make sure you wash your pillowcases at least once a week, because when you sleep, our dead skin cells fall off, and now it turns into dirt, and that's where like breakouts happen, skin problems happen. So make sure you wash your bed sheets, your pillowcases at least once a week. Use a face wash twice a week. I'm sorry, twice a day, and SPF moisturizer every single morning to protect your skin from the sun, and make sure your skin is well hydrated. And add at least half a gallon of water to your diet to stay well hydrated, because that's also going to have a big impact on your skin being well hydrated. Because when you dehydrate, your skin is going to be dry. When you're well hydrated, you're going to have a more glowing complexion.
Very nice, very nice. Well, definitely hydration is key, and you're right. It's like we're like a plant, right? If you don't, you don't have enough water, you're gonna dry up quickly and just gonna look very like miserable. And or if you hydrate, but not overhydrate, that's the other problem. I mean, you got to be careful also, not too much water, because then you have potassium issues and other problems. And at best, you'd just be going to the bathroom a lot.
Yeah. Oh my God, I drink so much water. I go to the bathroom every hour. I drink at least a gallon of water per day, plus I might have a 20 ounce green tea on top of it. I might have coffee in the morning. So I drink for like a gallon and a half of like water intake. But actual pure water, I drink at least a gallon per day. So that's and I'm going to take a sip right now.
Well, again, I mean, so you obviously have an active lifestyle, and you work out, and that's the other thing. I mean, the intensity of what you do out there. I mean, if you're going to work out and sweat a lot, I mean, you do need to hydrate a lot, and you don't want to have an acute case of kidney failure or something like, God forbid, or but also you just have to know your balances, electrolytes, and all this stuff. But again, we'll leave that for our nutritionists and dietitians shows and advice from the clinical crew. But definitely, I mean, these are some just the things to be aware of. But you're right. I mean, hydration for your skin and your better looking is just key. Definitely, sun can have a serious impact on the skin and just the aging process. So there's different things. You talked about moisturizers, but there's also like natural oils like argan oil or Moroccan oil. There's prickly.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things. Vitamin C serums are also good. So there's a prickly seed oil. That's another very potent type of oil that you can apply. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. I mean, it's just a matter of knowing. And by the way, just for this purpose of show, I want to clarify this, because we're talking about mostly guys, and sometimes the guys are the macho ones and they don't want to apply some of these products. This goes for men and women, so it's not just limited to girls and ladies and women. This is also for boys and girls and boys and men.
Absolutely.
It's all good.
Absolutely. And guys, don't think like there's moisturizers, face washers designed and engineered specifically just for men. They smell masculine. The package is masculine. I mean, look, I'm guys of all guys, but don't let your ego get in the way of looking good, looking younger. Because when you're 60, none of us want to look 60, especially as guys. Like you want to look 10, 20 years younger, and with a proper skincare routine, proper hydration, proper diet, proper exercise regime, we can look 10, 20 years younger by the time we're 40, 50, 60 years old. I mean, I'll be 31 in a month, and people think I'm still 24, 25, and mostly because I do have a proper skincare routine. I exercise, there's enough rest, I don't drink much. So over time, this stuff can really, compound and make a big difference on how you feel, how you look.
Well, we'll take that, because again, and I wanted that to just disclose that, because some people may well, I'm just a man, I don't need all this fancy, that's more for ladies, but it's not. I mean, your health, your skin is part of your health, your beauty is part of your health, and I think there's no such thing as limiting yourself because of any feelings. that may be out of place. I mean, yeah, you're still who you are, and at the end of the day, just looking good, feeling good is always a good thing. So
Another thing is consider, let's say, like you're like a guy, like you're in your 50s or 60s. Most guys are gonna like younger women, and you went through a divorce. You might want to date somebody in their 20s or 30s when you're 50 or 60, right? And it's definitely gonna help you if you look younger. It's a fact. I mean, I think one of the main reasons why I started a whole skincare routine when I was my 20s. Like, well, when I'm on my 50, I want to date girls who are in their 20s and 30s. So I started, yeah, but I mean, it's definitely going to help you out. Let's say, like, if you're 50 years old, you went through a divorce, and now you want to date someone who is there at 30. By looking younger, you're going to be more likely to attract a younger looking female who is gorgeous, who takes care of herself. So yeah, that's like from like a guy's point of view. If you want to date somebody younger when you're older, that's going to help because you're going to look younger. You're going to feel younger.
I
Can
think
give you more comfort.
Maxime, I think you just give everybody, a nice little incentive right now.
Yeah.
People
I
are
mean,
gonna be like,
that,
okay, I'm gonna start tonight because,
yeah,
you know.
like I said, you never know what's going to happen. You might end up in divorce, and then you want to
Well,
date somebody
hopefully
who's
not,
much younger.
but
Yeah, hopefully not.
yeah.
But in case. But in case.
but there's plenty of guys that may not be married, or they may have already, like, they're widowed, whatever.
Exactly.
But again, feel good for yourself. But certainly, that to your point, it makes a big difference if you look, a little bit, healthier than you should, at any given age, and therefore that gives you a different aspect. But believe it or not, I want to talk about technical. I know we're almost done, but you mentioned something about looking. And I know jobs, and we're going to talk about something very kind of tangible here. Well, not tangible, maybe a little touchy, more than tangible. But we're in jobs. We're not supposed to discriminate, and it's anti. There's a lot of laws against it. But believe it or not, in reality, these things do happen, and that's why the laws are there. And so, yeah, as simple as that, while people may expect that it's not going to happen, be aware that it can happen, and it is a fact. As people age, there's less opportunities as much. That's why they are protected under the labor law, and there shouldn't be no discrimination whatsoever. But people are people, and they judge based on a lot of things. So again, feeling good, looking good, being, not so much young, but just looking good in your skin, and that can make a difference. And don't give anybody a chance. Obviously there shouldn't be any, but just something that came to my mind, because I know as people age and get older, people look at that then and they judge them, sometimes, even if it's not fair, but that's unfortunate. It's reality. So yeah, be careful out there.
Absolutely. And like I said, it could be, there's going to come down to, like, like even the basics. The better you look, the better you feel, the better you're going to perform.
Yes.
You're going to perform better in the gym, going to perform better at your job. You're going to be more energized. You're going to be more clear-headed. You're going to be more enthusiastic. Like I'm not at this age yet, but I know guys. Like I was talking to a guy at the gym today. He goes, "When the guy's 70 years old, you would never think he is a day older than 50. The guy takes care of himself."
Hey, listen, yeah, that's the way to do it, baby. You gotta you age in, with beauty. That's all. You gotta age well.
So
That's it.
yeah, and again, don't obsess over it. Don't obsess over it. Just kind of make it part of your routine, simple, because if it's simple, it's sustainable. So make it simple. Fine. But yeah, guys, I mean, like I know for a fact that a lot of guys are afraid of that. Don't be. And your girls, like, no girl wants to touch a dry, wrinkly face. No girl wants to touch it. Girls like when a guy has a healthy looking skin. I'm not saying be like all glowing and perfect, no single line, but take care of it. Like use a quality face scrub once a week. Use a SPF moisturizer every morning, because girls like a guy with a healthy mug, a healthy looking face, healthy skin. Because no girl wants to kiss, like dry, cracked lips and touch a dry. Like girls like this kind of stuff. So if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for girls, do it for your wife, do it for your girlfriend.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, again, from a single perspective, it's one thing. But even if you're married, I mean, you always, it's funny. Somebody I saw the other day. I mean, you can date. Actually, I do have a show that's coming up, and we're going to talk about some of that. But you can date your wife over and over and over, and never a dull moment that you can make it. That's what refreshes a lot of people that last, long in marriages, is because they keep that marriage alive and they keep doing all that fun stuff and they keep, the just the relationship. But again, you're right. If you don't take care of yourself one way or the other, both sides, the spouses, they don't take care of themselves correctly, that can be also sometimes a detriment to their relationship. So do the right thing, look good, feel good, support each other, have a mixed up, what do you call it? Habits, whatever, routines for it, go to the spot together. Who cares? I mean, what I mean? Live alive, enjoy.
Yeah.
Those are some of the key things that make life, different, so, and by the way, it's very accessible, very feasible. There's a lot of places where you can be together and still do the stuff. Of course, some people may not. Well, I'll do one with my wife or my husband, or that could be another case. But for overall, I mean, that's something that could be very positive.
Yep. And one tip I want to give, because some guys are unwilling to budge on this. They're like, no, there's no way in hell I'm going to be using a moisturizer. It's not going to happen. Like I had some clients who were willing to change their style, but they're like, I'm not going to be using any cream on my face. It's not going to happen. So for that kind of situation, if you go to the gym and it's really dry outside, you can tell your skin is dry, it's flaky. Heat up the steam room once or twice a week to get the steam, get some humidity in there to kind of get rid of some of the dryness. So if you're not willing to use any kind of moisturizer, we try to recommend you should use it. But if there's no way you're willing to budge on this, if you work out and there's a steam room at your gym, go to sit for 10, 15, 20 minutes a couple times a week to kind of get humidity and to get some of that dampness into your skin to make it less dry.
All right. Well, yeah, that's great advice. And by the way, steam rooms are awesome. And
I love steam rooms. Eucalyptus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's it. Well, steam rooms, eucalyptus, or some like you go to a banya, hammam, whatever. Any one of those spas, they have those things. Saunas. Take them out. It's worth every single thing, and it does a miracle for your skin, believe it or not. So, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, that's and guys love that stuff. Well, I don't know if they do, 100%. I think both guys and gals, love it. So, but if you have access to it, and some gyms have it for free, so just it's part of your package, you go for it. All right, Maxime. I think we've covered a lot of grounds today, and we different angles. So how can we get people to reach out to you? And I know that the description will be on the actual system, so it'll be available for them. So how do we get people to you?
Most of my best material and my content, and I'm usually most active on Instagram, which is Instagram.com/Max Image Consulting. I'm sorry, it's Max_image_consulting. So Max MAX _consulting. No, I'm sorry, Max_image as in like picture image _consulting. You can reach me at my email, Maxim MAXIM .Houston, like Houston, Texas, at hotmail.com. So it's Maxim.Houston at hotmail.com. And Facebook, Maxim Houston.
All right. Well, I'll have this available for you guys, so it should be no problem. All right, Maxime. So thank you so much for a great show, for having a good time here. So I think with that, we will close our show for today. Folks, thank you for being with us, for just, indulging us a little bit and maybe taking some advice here. Hopefully it can be beneficial. And we'll be talking soon. New show, new guest, new topic. And maybe we'll have Maxime back and talk more about, more stuff. All right. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.